Strategic Marketing for Majestic Light by Jennifer Sweet. I'm glad we could get together and talk a little bit about the strategic marketing plan. As you recall, we're using the target segment profiles of Billy and Jill. Billy is a young adult with income under $30,000. Jill is a mom of musical school-age students. There are a couple things I wanted to clarify from the past so that we're on the same page going forward. One is this idea of a southern rollout for the Billy persona. I would like to start the rollout of the product in the South, and the reason for that is the long warm weather provides a longer season for outdoor music festivals, and that's something I'll talk about a little bit more when we get to our brand building and community objectives. And also for the salespeople incentives, we talked a little bit about the sales force and how that would work in the value chain, and I would like to use sales personnel that work for the retailer, but I do have some incentive strategies that I'll share a little bit later as well. All right, let's get started. We have a lot to cover. There are 6 promotional tools. I'd like to use 4 of those. Advertising, absolutely. Television, and also some print magazines. I know print magazines receive some criticism as to how widely they're circulated and will they be going away, but there is still some value to be had in that. And for the time being, I'd like to go ahead with that. But I would like to focus on something like Rolling Stone, maybe Guitar Aficionado, and also I'd like to focus on a mom's magazine as well. And the reason for that is I've noticed a potential problem in that we have this persona of Jill, which is the mom that's going to be doing the purchasing, but we also have to have a way to get ourselves into the school district. And I kind of like to use what pharmaceutical companies use, where they advertise the pill to the customer and then the customer goes back to the doctor. I'd like to advertise this to the mom and then have the mom go to the school board and insist that we use Majestic Light in our school district. And that would allow our reps a way in. And that would do a little bit of the legwork for us. Personal selling, yes, school districts will have those visiting reps that come in to take the orders, to answer any questions. And so that would definitely be yes. Sales promotion, yes, I think that's one of my biggest aspects that I'd like to use in this section. I like to use sales promotion both with the customers and the value chain members. So for the customers, I like to use product placement in media. You know, I first saw that in Seinfeld years ago, and I thought I didn't really know anything about it. And now you see it everywhere. Everything has product placement in it, and we want to be right at the forefront of that. As far as incentives go, I'd like to give incentives to the school districts. Perhaps if they purchase so many units, we would give so many matching funds to their music program or some sort of detail like that, where we would give them an incentive for doing business with us. And to talk about our retailers for the Billy persona, something like maybe if we go with Guitar Center or one of those boutique music shops, I'd like for their salespeople to be paid by them, but I would also like to offer a way to train them, or maybe a small test or quiz, a way to show proficiency in our products. And by doing so, we could give both the salesperson and the Guitar Center, the retailer, an incentive for that. I'd like to keep them stocked in t-shirts. Maybe we could have a strategic t-shirt in which we have both Guitar Center and Majestic Light featured on the shirt. But I think that's a great way that we would not be exclusively paying these individuals, but we could still be getting our product out there. And also Majestic Light should have this concierge type service to it, in which someone extremely knowledgeable is able to answer all of their questions, but not a dedicated sales force. As far as the next one, direct marketing, no, I don't think I want to use direct marketing because we have symbolic and selective, and I feel like direct marketing is a little bit too brash for that. I want to have a certain finesse to it, and direct marketing is really asking you if you want to buy it and getting you to come back and getting our information. I think, no, this is a little bit more subtle. We want to encourage people through that symbolic venue to come to that conclusion on their own. Internet marketing, absolutely. Now, I'd like to use the website primarily for information, not for selling. At first, I thought, well, everybody has a website, but now after I got your feedback, I thought that's true. Not everything is sold on a website. Sometimes it's just the specifications, and I'd like this to lead consumers to the selective places where they are select retailers where they can pick up the product. I would like to use the advertisements on social media, and I'd even like to develop some commercials that maybe have a cult-like movie following. I think that's something that was very popular. I've seen some that have really appealed to me. You can usually get some high-end actors to participate in it, and it can really take off and help be something that people look forward to. Public relations is something I think Majestic Guitars probably has, but Majestic Light, I don't see a point in which we need that at this time because we are not offering any new tech or a revolutionary product. And so I think that no, a public relations is not something that's useful for us at this time. Right now, there are 6 communication objectives, and of those objectives, let's get started. The biggest one will be brand building and then customer retention. But needs recognition, at first I said no because it's not a mandatory thing in life to have a guitar. It's a luxury. And but as I thought more about Procter and Gamble and how Tide does business and how they're building that sort of idea of what you need, and I thought that we could possibly use a communication objective that it's a need to express yourself. And I'm still in the middle of the road. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say not yet. No need recognition. Finding buyers, no. We're going to tell them where they can selectively find us. And so I don't think that we need to necessarily find them that way. Brand building, absolutely. Promotions at outdoor music festivals, and that gets into why I was looking for a southern rollout for the Billy type profile. Southern climates give you that long summer season, usually agreeable weather. I like to have a lot of tents and representation of selling T-shirts, selling merchandise. You know, my father once told me that Harley Davidson makes more money selling merchandise than it does selling motorcycles. I actually did some research for this and found out that that is not true. But the idea is valid in that you can hardly walk through a mall or a Walmart without seeing somebody wearing a Harley Davidson T-shirt. And I would like Majestic Light to have that same sort of household permutation where everybody knows it and it's a real household name. So I would love to feature those items for sale, but I'd also like to feature free items as well. As consider like those retail pop-up events. I'd like to maybe have an opportunity for people in that urban setting to make music videos. Also, maybe at the music festivals. Everywhere we go, we could easily come up with a music video in which we just insert the person, just have them stand in front of a camera for a few seconds, put their likeness in there, and that's a little token they can take home from their experience with Majestic Light. Hold the guitars, get a sense of it, of what your life could be like with it. The evaluation of alternatives. I really don't want to get caught in the weeds trying to disseminate what makes splitting hairs between us and our competition, because we know that the independent study shows that the musical quality is comparable. Now we know that Majestic Light is far superior in the entire persona, our symbolic focus. But I think we're going to show that through brand building, and so we don't really need to focus on evaluation of alternatives. Decision to purchase. I'm going to say no, because I also don't think that fits with our symbolic focus. It's coming on a little bit too strong, and Majestic Light's already cool, so I don't think you need to push for that decision to purchase. You know, my spouse and I lived in Germany for a while, and when we were there, we had the opportunity to buy a German automobile. It was kind of a luxury automobile for us, and it was something that we picked the build times, we picked every specification for it, and when it came time to purchase it, the salesperson didn't sell us at all. He actually said, you either want it or you don't. And that's true. It was such an exclusive product that we already knew when we walked in we were going to get it. So I think that I want to have that same sort of feeling for our Majestic Light customers. Customer retention, absolutely. I get downright spoiled by a lot of products that I'm part of, and I would like our customers to feel the same way. I'd like them to register their products for new offers so we can keep them in the family. We can get them to upgrade and continue to accumulate Majestic Light guitars. And I would also like to consider sending them some items, holidays or anniversaries. You know, I'm an ambassador for Maker's Mark, Kentucky bourbon, and so I've followed this barrel for 6 years. And when it was time, they tapped it, and we went to Kentucky and had our own bottles poured, and then we did the whole deal. But every year at Christmas, Maker's Mark sends me a package, and it's full of some little trinket that I can use to dress up my bottle of bourbon. Usually like a little sweater or a scarf or something, and I look forward to that every year, and I collect them. And then someone will come over, and then the conversation will start of, where did you get this? And it builds the brand, and it builds my loyalty to it, because then I always have something to say about how great Maker's Mark is. They're always sending me free stuff. So, all right, now the next thing is the budget, and I think I would like to focus on well, I know I would like to focus on objective and task. It's sensible, and it keeps us from spending money without a focus. I feel like as much as you can afford, it's kind of a shotgun blast approach to it. And I want to be very focused on not putting money towards things that are not going to give us definite value in the long run. So definitely objective and task. And then the creative theme, I think you know since the beginning, is our legend starts here. And I'm going to stick with that. I like that. And as I've been working on this project, I have been thinking more fondly of it as time goes on. I'd like to have it on TV, and also I think that same ad could be extrapolated to social media and to the internet. And perhaps you could do a longer version. Sometimes you'll see something on television and it will say, log on to this website for a more intense version of this video. So, and then the advertisement. Oh, this is probably my favorite part. I'm not so interested in how things get from manufacturing to the consumer, but I'm very interested in how they get bought up by the economy. So I think the best idea for a commercial would be to have an old man. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean old, but lived life, white hair at least, and walking through a service corridor. And as he's walking through this nondescript corridor, we hear this sound like there's a nightclub in the distance, or we're kind of buffered from the noise, but there's definitely some loud noise aside from this. And as he's walking, he sees like a flatbed cart that has guitars on stands. So he walks by one and he reaches over and he touches it. And at the moment that he touches it, he has a flashback. And the flashback is a young man, 20-something. He's playing in a band with his friends at their first event. There's nobody there, but he doesn't care. He's having the time of his life, just so excited that they're actually doing it. And then as his song ends, he turns to put the guitar back on the stand, and he reaches for another one, and as he does, there's another flashback. A young boy sitting on the front steps of the front porch, trying to learn the keys. His fingers hurt because he's having a hard time learning the riffs, and he's just kind of deciding whether he's going to stick with this pursuit or not. And at that time, we hear a loud voice breaking in that says, "Sir, sir." And we come back to reality, see the old man, and there's a stagehand dressed all in black, puts his hand on the man's shoulder and says, "Sir, it's time." And then the man turns and just smiles at him and continues walking up the corridor, out the ramp, and then we see it opens into a huge Madison Square Gardens. Everybody's there. And the crowd goes wild, they're cheering, they're yelling. And then at that point, picture fades up, the concert begins, and then the tagline comes across and says, "Majestic Light, your legend starts here." I think it's a great ad. I would love it. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this, and happy Thanksgiving.